Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So what I want to do today is I have these really cute little squares that they're just pretty much plain wooden cutouts, and I've got them in two different sizes, and I've always kind of liked the idea of mosaic type projects, and I've never done one before. Now this isn't like true mosaic, but it's kind of got the feel to it. So I decided that I wanted to do a decorative cutting board and kind of incorporate these little wooden pieces in there. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is, because I'm not going to need both bags of them, so I kind of want to get a basic idea of what my design is going to be. And then from there, I'm going to, just kind of count and figure out how many of these pieces I actually need to do that and then put the rest away. Now, I really wasn't sure at this time. Like, my initial thought process was I'm going to do something in this entire cutting board and have it full of these little squares. And then, as things typically do for me, it changed part way through. And I don't know, the end result is pretty awesome, I think. So I'm kind of happy that I kind of stopped when I did. Now, this is a little bit fiddly because yeah, see right here, I'm kind of like, I was messing around with it. It took me a long time to kind of figure out spacing, how I wanted to do, what design I wanted to do, and all of that. I did cut most of it out of me just fiddling around with them until I kind of got to the breakdown of the design that I wanted to do. And of course, I want to keep the numbers as equal as possible, top and bottom, so that it flows more. And at first I was just going to do kind of like this square border, and then I decided that I like the design better going down in the diamond shape. So it's just a matter of kind of maneuvering the pieces around, getting them to work and the spacing correct. And then from this point, after I finish it and I get it set up how I want, I did take a picture of it on my phone so I would remember and I didn't have to go back through the video and look at it. But the next thing to do is going to be to seal these in paint. Now, again, at this point, I'm not 100% sure. Like, I have an idea in my head, but as far as colors and all that, not necessarily. So I decided that I'm going to do this in black. Now, me and my incredibly intelligent self was like, I'm going to hand paint all of these. About 15 minutes into it, I only had about 5 done, and I was like, nah, this is going to take way too long. So maybe I should be smart. And I got out the Rust-Oleum chalkboard paint, and I just took them outside and I spray painted them instead, which was way quicker and saved my hands from all of this needless painting. All right, so about 30 minutes or so later, these squares are dry, and my initial thought process was I was going to encase, like, lay down a clear layer of resin, which is down right now. I cut this out too because it's just me fiddling around for like 30 minutes not getting it right. But I thought if I laid just a really thin layer of resin down, then I could put these little squares inside and they would stick there and kind of seal it in so that I can go back and put resin on the inside of them later on after this is dried. And I don't have to worry about like gluing each piece down or anything like that. Well, it didn't seem to matter because these pieces, they're not like super chunky. So they're very thin. And it didn't seem to matter how much resin I took out of this, it was still too deep. So I ended up just saying, all right, to hell with that. That's not going to work. So I'm just going to go with, I just did a little bit of Let's Resin's black alcohol ink, mixed it in with a crap ton of the extra fine glitter, the Solean extra fine glitter and onyx, and I'm going to let this set. So at this point, I was like, well, because normally once I'm done for the day, like I'm done for the day and I don't mess with it anymore. Like this whole waiting for the resin to get to the sticky part and whatever. Yeah, I don't have time for that in my day, unfortunately. So I was going to let it just cure and then come back the next day and just glue these pieces on. I ended up not doing that either. I did actually get back to it about 6 hours later when it was super, super sticky. Like it had almost set, but it was just sticky enough that it was kind of like, I guess, tar-ish, to where I was able to bring back these pieces and actually stick them in properly so that I didn't have to glue them all down. So that's what I'm doing right now. Now, because I didn't plan this and it just kind of happened that I was able to do it. I didn't think I should be wearing gloves, and I most definitely should be wearing gloves right now. And I had a time, let me tell you. It's really, really scary because if I had decided to go the gluing route, like I could play with the spacing and where these pieces ended up going and all of that to make sure that the spacing was accurate and all of that stuff, because I have it lined up a certain way. So it's got to be exactly how I want it. I can't afford for lines to be, crooked or slanted or whatever, which I am notorious for. Like, I, even with a ruler or level, whatever, my lines still always seem to slope. So this was really scary because once it's in there, like even just barely setting them on, it's like that resin is like, it's mine. You don't get it back. You can't have it. You're just screwed. I had a piece in the top left corner that was one of my test pieces, and I had so many issues with it. And when I was trying it with the clear, so I just kind of set it off to the side for use later, but it had resin on it. It kept wanting to sink inside. So that one I had to pull out and move a couple times. I was a little worried that with all of the moving and whatever, that I was going to end up messing it up. And I kept sticking my arm in the bottom part of the resin and getting stuck to it. So there's like a lot of obstacles in this part that I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out, honestly. Like it was it was trying to say the least. And then you can see here I had to move them all because my spacing was, as always, off. And yeah, I was super, super worried that I was going to screw this whole thing up, and then all of this work, all of this whole idea, this whole project would just be scrapped. It ended up, thank God, that I didn't really have any issues whatsoever. And the part down on the bottom where my left hand, like my left arm is going over right now, you can kind of see the spot where my arm got stuck to the resin. I was able to pretty much, hide that as well. Thank God, because yeah, this was something. So at this point, I still don't know what colors I want to do. Like, I wanted the black background because whatever colors I put on top, I want to pop, right? And I had toyed around with maybe doing it in glitter on the inside. I know I want more than one color, but I wasn't sure. And then I started thinking, well, the last time I did something and I did the background in glitter was the Grinch thing that I did, and it, like, the color turned out completely different than what it was, and I was worried that that would happen on this, and I really didn't want it to. So I decided I'm going to use micas. And I had toyed around with red and gold, and at the last minute, I changed my mind and I decided that I'm going to go with red and white. Okay, so this is the next day now. These are all nice and dry in here, and I've just mixed up a little bit of my Nick Pro resin. I did maybe 40 mils. Now, I really didn't think it was going to take this much, but I wasn't 100% sure, so I just I'd rather have more than not enough. And I'm just mixing in that Rolio Scarlet Red. That's absolutely beautiful. Huge shout out to my channel members, by the way. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. You have no idea how much it means to me. Back to the video. Now, I decided that I want to do the big squares in red, and then the smaller ones I'm going to go in with my HTV white mica powder. And I think that The black, red, and white, it's kind of classic, and those colors will just pop off of there. I also didn't want to do glitter because I have the background glitter, and I just thought it would be too much and it would just take away from that kind of shimmer that the background has. So, I was kind of between different ideas at the time, but all in all, I'm really glad that I chose the colors that I chose because the end project is just phenomenal. Now, this part was very, very fiddly too. I was like, I didn't want to go over and get any of the resin on the actual like wooden pieces. I just wanted to go inside. So it was literally like drip by drip, putting this resin in real slow. And yeah, it was very stressful because I was really worried that it was going to go where it wasn't supposed to go, especially when I get to the white and have it mixed in those, the colors mixed together or whatever. Like I didn't want that. And then in the back of my head, it was always, did I push these pieces down enough into the resin the night before? Like, did I actually get a good seal on them? Because I've never done this before. Or is there maybe one that didn't connect fully and is going to leak all over the place when I'm not paying attention? Which, could have been very possible. But, you know, it was a worry. It really, truly was. So I'm making sure that I hit every single corner with my silicone tool, and I'm just kind of filling them up as they kind of settle out a little bit. It was easier just to kind of put the drips in and let the resin start self-leveling and finding its own way, and then going back and kind of pushing it where I need to go, and then, adding the drips that I need to just to fill up those voids a little bit more to make them, they're not going to be, because we all know it kind of shrinks a little bit when it's cured, so they're not going to be completely flush with the top of the wood, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. I am putting a top coat on clear on this, obviously. I just want I don't want to be able to see the black coming up through, so I just need to make sure that there's enough in there. It was easier to go in with these tiny little pieces where I have the square inside the square with a toothpick just to make sure that everything's good. And after we're done doing the red, then we're going to go on and add the white in and let that cure. And just while I finish this part, I'm just going to put some music on because, I mean, you can clearly see what I'm doing. It's nothing, it's not rocket science. And I will be back for the next step. Alright guys, I'm back. So I'm just putting the finishing touches on the white now, and I already like how it looks, but I'm not happy with that void in the middle. I think it needs something. So what I'm going to do is, after this is all nice and dry, which it is, I decided I wanted to put a flower in here. So I'm just taking my stencil right now and kind of centering it, as good as I can by eyeballing it. And I'm just going to tape it down so it doesn't move on me. And what I decided that I wanted to do is I want to still play with the white and red. And I'm going to do this flower mainly white and then kind of go into the red on the top. And that's going to be it. But the first part that I'm going to do is I'm just going to outline the stencil so that I know where it is. And then I can take this off and I don't have to fool with it anymore. And, I'll be more in control than with it on here. As I go through this, you've seen me paint 100 times already. I am going to let you guys listen to some music as this comes to life, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. I think it looks gorgeous. What do you guys think? I really like it. Now, I did want it to be a little bit redder than it turned out, but all in all, I think it pops off of there. It completes it, so I'm super happy with it. Now, this is 24 hours after the paint has dried. Just want to make sure it's super, super dry. And I'm going in with my Nick Pro resin again, and I am just going to fill this up the rest of the way. So, now, the issue that I'm worried about and that I noticed as I was doing this is bubbles coming up from in between these pieces because they're not all completely like touching 100%. So I did spend a whole lot of time here getting bubbles out in between all of the pieces, just everywhere, honestly. Like there was a lot of bubbles and not necessarily from my mixing either. Like yes, I know I get the bubbles when I mix fast, but these were just bubbles that were coming up from in between the wooden pieces that was kind of worrisome. And I did spend probably a good 10, maybe even 15 minutes working out all of these bubbles. Um, I do cut out a lot of it because, like, you guys just don't need to see all of it. But it did take a long time for me to do. And, I mean, spoiler alert, I did get some in the finished piece as well that I noticed when I was demolding it. Now, I didn't have time to do this for the video, but I will end up going back and kind of popping the top holes and just redoing another top coat, filling those up, and then just retop coating it just to finish it off and get rid of them. They're not like super crazy huge bubbles, and honestly, unless you're really looking for them, you can't necessarily see them too bad. But they're there. I know they're there, and I know that I can fix it. So I will do that at a later time. But right now, it's just about getting out as many as I can and kind of coaxing them out. All right, guys, 24 hours later, this is all nice and dry, and it is time to demold this baby. And I really like how it turned out. Like, I really truly do. I kind of wish that my kitchen was done in these colors because it would be beautiful hanging up in there. I love the shininess of the back. I just, I think it's gorgeous. I really do. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap on this one. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will catch you guys on Thursday for the next one. Love ya. Bye.